Have you ever felt like money slips through your fingers, no matter how hard you work? What if I told you that your breakthrough isn't in hustle, but in a single phrase? This is no ordinary affirmation. This is a spiritual decree that aligns your vibration with the frequency of abundance. Say it, believe it, and watch what unfolds. Let's unlock it together. Words are a spiritual current. They move unseen, yet create the scene. Just as electricity cannot be held in the hand, yet lights up the room, so too do words carry invisible force that illuminates the affairs of life. When a word is spoken, it does not vanish, it travels. It goes forth into the great sea of substance and returns in form, multiplied and magnified by the faith with which it was released. Most souls do not realize the power they wield when they speak. They speak carelessly of lack, of illness, of difficulty, and so the current obeys them. It brings back the very thing they wish to escape. For the spiritual current, like water, flows wherever it is directed. It has no will of its own. It serves. It does not choose between good or bad, wealth or poverty, ease or struggle. It only listens to the tone, the belief, the emotion, then acts. A woman may say in frustration, "I never have enough money." The words are spoken with certainty, with repetition, with conviction. The spiritual current, quick and obedient, hears and responds. Opportunities are blocked, debts appear, doors close. She believes she is cursed by fate, not knowing she is merely reaping the law of her own declaration. Now consider another, a soul who understands the law. She watches her tongue. She measures her speech. She speaks deliberately, not as one begging, but as one commanding. She declares, "The wealth of the universe flows to me freely and easily." And though at first the evidence may be hidden, the current begins to move. People shift, circumstances rearrange, supply flows. Why? Because the word was sent forth as a decree, not a doubt. Words are not idle, they are dynamic. Each phrase charged with intention becomes a seed planted in the invisible garden of life. And like seeds, words grow after their kind. A word of fear produces fear. A word of faith produces miracles. The spiritual current takes the shape of the mold it is poured into. If your words are a mold of worry, you will create a life of turmoil. If your words are a mold of power, your days will be lined with gold. What most forget is that every word spoken is backed by vibration. The tone, the feeling behind it, gives it momentum. A weak phrase whispered in despair carries little force, but a bold phrase, spoken with inner conviction, rides the current swiftly and surely. It cuts through resistance. It slices through delay. It brings forth swift demonstrations. Your words are not simply for communication, they are for creation. They do not merely describe your reality, they build it. And so, to change the picture, one must change the word. Speak not of what you fear, speak of what you desire as though it already exists. Say not, "I hope to have success," but "Success is mine by divine right." Say not, "I am afraid I'll lose," but "I walk in victory now." There is a spiritual current surrounding each soul, an energetic field molded by the spoken word. This field attracts according to the frequency it holds. The voice sets the tone of your field. It creates your atmosphere. It pulls toward you people, places, and events that mirror what you have declared. In this way, your mouth becomes your magic wand. You have only to wave it rightly. Your declarations do not beg, they command. They move substance into structure. They rearrange the matrix of matter. For in truth, all things are spirit before they become form, and it is the word that bridges the two. Each day is a blank canvas, and words are the brush. Speak not what you see. Speak what you know to be true in spirit. Speak prosperity when the wallet is empty. Speak healing when the body is weary. Speak light when darkness surrounds. The current will carry your word far beyond what the eyes can measure, and the effects will ripple through every corner of your life. The universe hears command, not complaint, in the style of Florence Scovel Shinn, complete with flowing metaphysical language, rich imagery, and clear paragraphing. No concluding sentence is included, as you requested. The universe hears command, not complaint. It responds not to the cry of despair, but to the decree of faith. While many believe their troubles will be lifted by lamenting them louder, the truth is that the great universal law remains unmoved by sorrowful repetition. It is not the volume of emotion that activates the law, it is the certainty of authority. The spiritual realm is orderly, governed by exact laws, just as mathematics is. If one adds 2 and 2, the sum is 4, not 5, not 6, regardless of mood, desperation, or intent. The universe, likewise, responds to clear intention and decisive word, not the emotional noise of dissatisfaction. Complaints are like smoke. They swirl and vanish without substance. Commands are like arrows. They fly with purpose and strike their target. When one complains, the energy emitted is muddled. It affirms the problem, magnifies it, and roots it deeper into consciousness. To say, "Nothing ever works out for me," is to establish a blueprint of failure, and the universe, impartial and exact, begins to build according to that pattern. The words become bricks, and the house of experience takes its shape from them. On the other hand, when a command is spoken, the spiritual atmosphere shifts. The person no longer speaks as a victim, but as a co-creator. The declaration may be simple, yet its power lies in its clarity. Doors open for me now. Divine order is established in my life. I prosper wherever I turn. These are not casual phrases. They are spiritual directives. The universe, hearing them, begins to rearrange itself in obedience. The trouble with most is that they speak from circumstance rather than from spirit. They describe what they see rather than declare what they know. They say, "I am tired of this job," or "I never have enough," not realizing that each time they utter such words, they give strength to the very condition they wish to escape. The complaint acts like a chain, binding them to the unwanted. Complaining is born from the belief that life happens to you. Commanding is born from the knowing that life responds to you. The soul who knows their oneness with Source does not plead. They direct. They do not argue with appearances. They override them with truth. Their words become instruments of creation, not echoes of distress. When a challenge arises, the complainer says, "Why me?" and remains entangled in the problem. But the declarer, the one who commands, says, "I now call forth the highest outcome," and rises above. The same situation meets two different attitudes and produces two different realities. The universe does not respond to need, it responds to belief. It moves not for noise, but for knowing. It is important to understand that commanding is not arrogance. It is spiritual alignment. It is not demanding in ego, but speaking in faith. To command is to invoke divine principle, to call forth what is already true in spirit into manifestation. It is not a request, it is a release of power. The moment you say, "Everything is working out for me," the energies begin to adjust. You may not see immediate results, but the command has gone forth. It is at work, silently, invisibly, irresistibly. You have spoken with authority, and the substance of the universe begins to shape itself around your decree. Yet when you say, "This is never going to change," you have equally issued a command, though it is one of defeat. The universe does not judge your words. It fulfills them. It does not filter based on hope or hardship. It creates from what is declared with repetition and belief. It is a mirror, not a mediator. The wise therefore train their speech. They do not use words loosely. They understand that every sentence is a seed. They turn away from idle griping and instead proclaim truth, even in the face of contradiction. They remember that energy flows where intention goes, and intention is made known through word. Poverty is a state of mind. Shift your frequency and shift your fortune, in the metaphysical style of Florence Scovel Shinn, complete with paragraph breaks and no concluding sentence. Poverty is a state of mind. Shift your frequency and shift your fortune. The outer world is but a mirror, a reflection of the inner pattern held by the soul. What one experiences in the realm of money, opportunity, or lack is first conceived in thought and belief. If a person lives with the image of scarcity etched into their consciousness, no amount of labor will uproot the outer condition until the image itself is replaced. True poverty is not in the purse, it is in the perception. It is a habitual acceptance of limitation, a silent agreement with struggle. One may possess wealth and yet think poorly, living in fear of loss and moving under the shadow of lack. Another may possess little but think richly, knowing that supply is eternal and that manifestation is simply a matter of alignment. The difference is not in the bank account, but in the frequency of thought. The mind is a magnet, drawing to itself whatever corresponds to its dominant vibration. A thought of fear lowers the frequency. A thought of abundance lifts it. To dwell continually on what one does not have creates a spiritual fog, blinding the eyes to the pathways of prosperity that are already present. When the frequency is low, even golden opportunities walk by unnoticed. But when the inner climate is one of expectancy, the outer world responds with generosity. You cannot hold to images of struggle and yet live in ease. The two do not occupy the same energetic space. If your mind rehearses debt, speaks often of how hard things are, or holds resentment toward those who prosper, then you are tuning into the channel of poverty, and like a radio receiver, you will hear only the music that plays on that station. To shift your fortune, you must first shift your inner broadcast. Imagine wealth, not in desperation, but in gratitude. Think richly, speak with power, and act as though divine supply is always at your side. The law of vibration is not moved by begging or pleading. It is activated by knowing, by certainty, by the calm confidence that says, "It is done." Many seek to change their circumstances without changing their consciousness. They try new ventures, pursue new careers, or chase outward opportunities, all while carrying the same inner pattern of worry and doubt. But fortune does not come through effort alone. It comes through frequency. Action without alignment is like planting seeds in frozen soil. Nothing will grow until the inner climate is warm with belief. Abundance is not something you earn. It is something you allow. It is not a matter of deserving, but of receiving. And the open hand begins with the open mind. The person who affirms daily, "I am aligned with the frequency of abundance. Wealth flows to me in expected and unexpected ways," is not fantasizing, they are forming. Their words are not daydreams, they are decrees. Spoken repeatedly, felt deeply, and believed wholly, they become blueprints for new experiences. The shift begins in stillness, in quiet moments where one releases the old thoughts like worn garments and puts on the robe of a new identity. I am rich in ideas. I am rich in supply. I am rich in divine connection. These words, spoken in the temple of the mind, begin to raise the entire frequency of one's life. And as the inner vibration lifts, new people appear, doors open, synchronicities unfold. The world has not changed, but the individual has changed their position within it. Scarcity is a fog that lifts only when the light of truth is spoken. When you speak of wealth, think from wealth, and give from wealth, even if your pockets are empty, you are practicing prosperity consciousness. You are moving your dial off the station of lack and tuning in to the wavelength of sufficiency and surplus. And life must mirror back what you project with faith and repetition. There is a divine substance behind all money. Speak to it with faith, in the metaphysical and declarative style of Florence Scovel Shinn. Paragraphs are included, and no concluding sentence has been added. There is a divine substance behind all money. Speak to it with faith. Money, in its visible form, is only the surface expression of something far greater and more enduring. What the eye sees as coins, paper, or numbers in an account is merely the shadow cast by an invisible infinite supply. The true nature of money is spiritual. It is a condensed vibration of divine substance, shaped and formed by consciousness. Most believe money to be governed by banks, wages, and the world's systems of commerce. But these are only channels, not sources. The true source is boundless, ever-flowing, and untouched by recession or restriction. It is the reservoir of substance from which all visible wealth is drawn. And this substance responds, not to fear, not to doubt, but to the language of faith. When you see money as separate from spirit, you place it under the rule of limitation. You believe it is controlled by others, earned only by effort, and withheld without explanation. But when you recognize the divine essence behind it, you reclaim your authority as a spiritual being. You begin to speak to money, not with desperation, but with dominion. You may say, "Divine substance is my supply. It flows to me richly and freely now." That phrase, spoken with sincerity and belief, is not empty affirmation. It is a spiritual decree. It speaks not to the coins in your hand, but to the living current beneath them. It calls forth more of the same. For divine substance hears your tone, your trust, your inner certainty, and it moves in kind. Money, like all material things, is obedient to consciousness. It will rise or fall to match the frequency of your thoughts. If you think it scarce, it slips away. If you resent it, it resists you. But if you honor it as sacred, if you speak to it as a divine servant of good, it comes gladly and multiplies itself in unexpected ways. Many speak of money with fear. They say, "I never have enough. It's hard to come by. Money runs away from me." These words are incantations. Though spoken unconsciously, they form a spell of limitation. The divine substance hears and, being perfect law, responds accordingly. Doors close, flow dries up, and opportunities disappear. Yet there is another way. Speak to divine substance with reverence and certainty. Declare, "The money I need comes to me now, easily and under grace." Or say, "I do not chase money. Money is drawn to me by divine law, for it is simply substance taking form." These statements hold power, not because of their poetry, but because they align with truth. You are never separate from supply. Divine substance surrounds you, penetrates you, and flows through every fiber of your being. It is the invisible fabric of all manifestation, the unseen wealth that fills the universe and waits only for your recognition. When you speak to it, you are not making a request. You are awakening what already exists. Bless the money you have, no matter how small. Bless your bank account, your wallet, your financial obligations. When you speak to money with blessing instead of bitterness, you cleanse its energy. You welcome increase. You tune your frequency to divine circulation, and the current begins to flow again. Imagine divine substance like a river, infinite in depth and direction. Your words are the channel, your belief the banks that shape its flow. If you speak restriction, you dam the waters, but speak abundance, and the river breaks forth in streams of gold and goodness. The spiritual man or woman does not beg for money. They call upon the source behind it. They stand in faith, speak with authority, and give thanks in advance. They know that divine substance is alive, intelligent, and responsive. It is not lifeless matter. It is spirit in form, waiting to take shape according to your spoken word and inner vision. One phrase can open the gate of abundance, if spoken with belief. In the metaphysical, affirming style of Florence Scovel Shinn, it includes paragraph breaks and intentionally ends without a concluding sentence. One phrase can open the gate of abundance, if spoken with belief. Words carry vibration, and vibration shapes reality. It is not the number of words that holds power, but the alignment behind them. A single phrase, rightly spoken, carries more force than 1,000 empty affirmations uttered without conviction. The universe is not moved by repetition alone, it responds to inner certainty. There are spiritual laws, invisible yet absolute, that govern the flow of supply. These laws do not bend to emotion or circumstance. They do not respond to pleading. They respond to faith. To speak a phrase of truth with unwavering belief is to press the spiritual switch that releases divine substance into form. The phrase becomes the opening, a gate through which all that is already yours begins to flow. The gate of abundance is not locked by the world, by governments, or by circumstance. It is closed only by belief in lack. Many live in mental prisons, thinking their supply is controlled by others, by a boss, by the economy, by a paycheck. But true supply comes from a higher source, and it is accessed through consciousness. When the right word is spoken with the right spirit, the whole pattern of lack begins to dissolve. This is why spiritual declarations, when felt deeply, work with precision. Not because they are magical incantations, but because they are spiritual instructions. They direct energy. They tell divine substance where to go and how to take shape. A phrase like, "I now draw to myself all that is mine by divine right and in perfect timing," is not a wish. It is a command. It is a tuning fork that calls everything into alignment with divine law. The difference lies in belief. Many say words, but few believe them. They recite phrases as one would repeat a wish, hoping the universe is listening. But belief is not hope, it is knowing. It is the quiet, steady assurance that what is spoken in truth will manifest in form. To say the right words without belief is like placing a seed in dry soil. It will not take root. But speak with faith, and the results are sure. A woman may say, "Unexpected money flows to me now, under grace." If she speaks it once but continues to worry, she blocks the gate. But if she declares it daily, joyfully, as though the money were already on its way, then she shifts her frequency to match abundance. The phrase becomes a vessel, the belief becomes the fuel, and the demonstration appears in perfect order. Spoken words shape mental atmosphere. They build the magnetic field around you. A phrase infused with belief begins to draw in people, circumstances, and events that match its vibration. What once seemed impossible begins to unfold with ease, not because the world changed, but because the command was issued and the gate was opened. The spiritual path is not one of struggle, it is one of alignment, and alignment is accessed through word and thought. One phrase, spoken from the seat of inner knowing, has the power to dissolve obstacles, shift timelines, and bring about what has long been delayed. But the phrase must be true. It must carry no contradiction, no hidden doubt. It must be spoken as law. Some souls believe they must climb mountains to reach abundance, but often it is one sentence, spoken in truth, that lifts the fog. That sentence becomes a key, unlocking doors that effort alone could never open. The key is not in the words themselves, but in the force behind them. When a phrase is spoken as a spiritual certainty, as a decree backed by divine authority, it resonates through the ethers. It goes out, collects its own, and returns bearing gifts. You are a spiritual magnet. Your words determine what you attract. In the style of Florence Scovel Shinn. It is written in rhythmic metaphysical prose with paragraph breaks and no concluding sentence. You are a spiritual magnet. Your words determine what you attract. You do not pull things to you by wishing, pleading, or striving. You attract them by the silent power of your inner state, revealed through the language you speak. Your words are not idle, they are magnetic currents. Every phrase you release carries a charge, either calling your good to you or pushing it further away. The world responds not to what you want, but to what you declare. Your spoken word is your decree, your law, your invitation to the unseen forces that shape your reality. You may not see the energy, but it is there, moving, drawing, aligning. Every sentence builds your atmosphere, your field of attraction. As you speak, so shall you magnetize. A person may say, "Nothing ever works out for me." The words are not a complaint, they are a magnet. They pulse with belief, and that belief becomes form. Delays multiply, confusion appears. The spiritual magnet has been turned toward struggle. Yet the same mouth could speak. Everything is unfolding for my highest good, and the magnetic field would shift instantly. New pathways would open, people would appear, resources would rise from the invisible. You are always attracting something, consciously or unconsciously, and it is your words that reveal what your magnet is tuned to. Fearful words call forth more fear, grateful words pull in greater blessings. You may not always notice the shift at once, but the current is always working, shaping future events from the words you send out today. What you repeatedly say becomes your signal to the universe. If your daily conversation is filled with talk of never enough, of hard times, or bad luck, then you are magnetizing more of the same. But if you choose to speak powerfully, even in the face of contradiction, you begin to attract from a higher plane. You do not wait for life to change before you speak differently. You speak differently, and life changes. The spiritual magnet is sensitive. It does not respond only to major declarations, but to the small, casual words spoken without awareness. I always get sick in winter. I'm terrible with money. I'm just unlucky in love. Each of these sentences becomes a thread, weaving itself into the tapestry of reality. The magnet does not judge, it only attracts, it pulls what matches. To reverse the pull of negativity, you must cleanse your words. Speak as one who knows the truth, not as one who reacts to appearances. Say, I am divinely guided. I am magnetizing opportunities. Good things are drawn to me constantly. These words are not wishful thinking. They are spiritual charges, recalibrating the field around you. A magnet does not strain. It does not beg. It simply holds its polarity, and what matches must come. So it is with your consciousness. Your job is not to chase the good, but to become magnetic to it through your language, your faith, and your tone. What you speak reveals what you believe, and what you believe determines what you draw. Your words can pull in abundance, or they can draw in resistance. They can summon joy, or echo struggle. If your desire is for prosperity, then speak in the language of the prosperous. If your longing is for love, then speak as one already loved. For the spiritual magnet you carry responds not to the future, but to now. The present moment is your point of attraction. You are a magnetic being, living in a sea of energy. Every word is a command to that energy. Every phrase either opens or closes the gate to the good you seek. There is no neutral speech. Every sentence is either pulling life toward you or pushing it away. The choice is always yours. The power is already within. The magnet is already on. It is your word that directs where it flows and what it brings. Money is an obedient servant, not a master. Treat it as such, in the elevated, metaphysical tone and rhythm reminiscent of Florence Scovel Shinn. Paragraphs are included, and no concluding sentence has been added. Money is an obedient servant, not a master. Treat it as such. In the divine order of life, money was never meant to rule over man, but to serve him. It was not created to be feared, chased, or worshipped. It is a tool, a symbol, a channel through which supply flows. Yet so many souls have reversed the roles. They bow to money as a god, when in truth it was born to obey the spiritual authority of man. To see money as master is to give away your power. It is to become a servant, to fear, to scramble for security, to believe your worth is tied to a number. When money becomes master, decisions are made from lack, choices are chained by doubt, and the spirit grows weary under false bondage. But when money is placed in its rightful place, as servant, it flows freely, without control or anxiety. Money, like all material things, responds to energy. It follows thought. It moves where it is honored, not idolized. A servant obeys the tone and clarity of instruction. So it is with money. When you treat it with calm authority, it follows your direction. When you bless it, respect it, and speak to it rightly, it begins to increase under the law of circulation. But when you fear it, curse it, or obsess over it, you create confusion in its energy, and it scatters. Many live as though money holds the reins. They say, "I can't do what I love unless I have the money. I am stuck in this place until money allows me to leave. I would follow my dream, but money won't let me." These are not statements of truth. They are declarations of slavery. They place money in the seat of authority, where it was never meant to sit. The soul becomes small, and the dream is postponed. But there is another way, the way of spiritual dominion. When the awakened soul says, "Money serves my vision," everything begins to shift. The vibration changes, opportunities appear. Supply is drawn not because one struggles harder, but because one has stepped into right relationship with wealth. They have reclaimed their throne and placed money back into service where it belongs. Money is obedient to order. It loves clarity. It gathers around purpose. It flows to those who are aligned with their calling and speak of it with certainty. When you declare, "Money serves my highest good, it supports my mission, it flows to me easily and under grace," you are not making poetry, you are issuing command. And command is what money responds to. To treat money as a servant is not to be careless with it, but to be confident with it. You do not worship a servant, you direct it. You respect it, but you do not allow it to lead. You say, "Go here," and it goes. You say, "Grow now," and it multiplies. This is not arrogance, it is spiritual law. The awakened individual knows that money, like the body or the voice, is an instrument through which spirit expresses. Bless the money you have, whether great or small. Thank it for its service. Send it out with joy. Call it back with trust. Do not grip it in fear or release it in guilt. Money is not the source, it is the channel. Your source is divine, infinite, and never depleted. When you operate from that knowing, you walk in freedom, not dependence. Speak to money with kindness, but firmness. You serve me well. You flow where I send you. You return with increase. These words, spoken daily, build a field of right relationship. You begin to sense that money is not a problem to solve, but a power to steward. You cease reacting to the rise and fall of circumstances because your authority does not come from the material, it comes from the spiritual. The power of the spoken word creates immediate conditions in the metaphysical, spiritual tone inspired by Florence Scovel Shinn. It includes rich, flowing paragraphs and deliberately ends without a concluding sentence. The power of the spoken word creates immediate conditions. The moment a word is spoken with belief, it begins its work. It may not be seen with the outer eye right away, but the vibration is released, the current is set, and the invisible gears of manifestation begin to turn. Words are not passive, they are agents of creation. They are the builders of experience, the sculptors of reality, and the silent architects of your tomorrow. To speak something repeatedly is to impress it upon the subconscious, and the subconscious, once impressed, moves heaven and earth to fulfill it. You may not see the cause, but you will surely see the effect. A single phrase, spoken with belief, may trigger a change in atmosphere, shift a financial situation, or unlock healing within the body. The outer is simply a mirror of the inner, and the inner is revealed by speech. This is why the wise watch their words. They do not speak of lack, sickness, failure, or delay, for they know that each utterance is a decree, and each decree is creative. They speak only what they desire to experience. They use their tongue not as a tool of complaint, but as an instrument of manifestation. Their words are clean, sharp, intentional. They do not cast spells of fear. They shape futures with faith. To say, I am divinely provided for, is not merely positive thinking. It is a spiritual statement that sets a divine process in motion. Supply begins to reorganize itself. People and opportunities begin to align. The outer world shifts because the inner word was spoken with clarity and conviction. The law responds not to doubt, but to dominion, and dominion is declared through speech. A woman may say, "Money flows to me now," even while her bank account shows little. If she speaks this with joy and expectancy, the vibration overrides the appearance. The word begins to form new conditions, unseen at first but inevitable. The spoken word has gone forth, and it cannot return void. It must accomplish the purpose for which it was sent. Likewise, someone may say in frustration, "I'm always behind on bills," and the universe, being exact and impersonal, begins to organize more bills, more delay, more resistance. The conditions come not because of punishment, but because of precision. The word was spoken, the pattern was set, the field responded accordingly. There is great power in immediacy. The shift does not begin when the result appears, it begins when the word is released. The atmosphere shifts first, and then the conditions appear. Most wait for outer evidence before changing their inner language, but the masters know, speak first, and the evidence will follow. Declare the result, and life will arrange itself around it. Your word is your wand. It is not bound by time or space. It reaches into the unseen and calls forth what is yours by divine right. Speak not of what is. Speak of what is becoming. Speak not of limitation. Speak of liberty. Every word you speak is a cause, and the cause always produces a condition. Speak deliberately, and you create deliberately. Speak with power, and life moves in power. Speak as one with authority, and the world cannot help but obey. Fear blocks the flow. Faith opens the gates, written in the metaphysical, declarative, and spiritually rhythmic style reminiscent of Florence Scovel Shinn. It is divided into clear, flowing paragraphs and ends intentionally without a concluding sentence. Fear blocks the flow. Faith opens the gates. Life is meant to move in divine rhythm, flowing like a river, unhindered, effortless, abundant. This river of good is always running, always ready to deliver health, wealth, guidance, and perfect right conditions. But when fear enters the heart, the current is interrupted. The flow is dammed up by thoughts of doubt, worry, and resistance. Fear tightens, constricts, and closes what heaven has already opened. Fear is not simply an emotion, it is a force. It acts as a barrier between the soul and its supply. It clouds intuition, delays manifestations, and disrupts divine timing. Fear whispers, "What if it doesn't work?" And the gates begin to close. It says, "What if I fail?" And the door to opportunity slowly shuts. The more attention you give to fear, the more it grows, until it surrounds you like a fog and dims the light of truth. Faith, on the other hand, is the opener of gates. It is the key that unlocks the flow. Where fear sees obstacles, faith sees passage. Where fear shrinks, faith expands. When you speak in faith, act in faith, and move from a place of divine knowing, invisible help rushes forward. Circumstances rearrange, delays dissolve. What once felt impossible begins to unfold in perfect order. To live by fear is to believe that supply is limited, timing is fragile, and that life is out of control. It places power outside of self and imagines that luck or fate determine the outcome. But to live by faith is to know that divine order governs all, that what is yours cannot be lost, that the universe is for you, never against you, and that the gate to your good is already prepared, waiting only for your belief to open it wide. The moment you choose faith over fear, you begin to realign with the current of divine flow. The energy shifts, the vibration rises. Where things were stuck, they begin to move. People call, doors open, funds appear, ideas spark. This is not magic, it is law. Faith opens gates because it declares that the path is already clear and the declaration becomes the reality. Fear says, I must make it happen. Faith says, it is already done in spirit. Fear watches every detail with anxiety, trying to control each step. Faith walks in peace, knowing that unseen forces are guiding every footfall. Fear delays action, waiting for perfect conditions. Faith acts in trust, and by its movement, creates the condition it desires. Many do not realize that their delays are self-imposed, built from mental blocks of fear. They pray for answers, but worry as soon as they rise from prayer. They affirm abundance, but cancel it with a fearful comment 5 minutes later. They prepare for disappointment more than they prepare to receive, and so the gates remain shut, not by divine decree, but by inner resistance. To dissolve fear, one must return to truth. Speak it, write it, declare it, until the vibration of fear loses its grip. Say, there is nothing to fear. Divine intelligence is handling all details. Say, my supply is secure, my way is made straight, my life is governed by spiritual law. These words are not just comforting, they are cleansing. They dissolve the blockages and reopen the gate. Each time fear arises, it is a signal, not to retreat, but to reaffirm. It is the moment to say, I choose faith, I trust the process, I walk forward knowing that all is well. As these declarations are made consistently, the energy shifts. You move from blockage to flow, from pressure to peace, from striving to receiving. Faith is not blind. It sees what is invisible and knows it to be real. It does not need outer evidence to be convinced. It speaks the gate open and walks through, confident that the way will appear. The river of life is always running. The question is only whether you are blocking it with fear or allowing it with faith. Where faith lives, flow follows. Where fear dominates, stagnation sets in. Your choice is the gatekeeper, and the gate responds to your vibration every time. What you bless increases. Bless your money, your wallet, and your debt, in the metaphysical, declarative style inspired by Florence Scovel Shinn. It is written in flowing, spiritually affirming prose with clear paragraph breaks and intentionally no concluding sentence. What you bless increases. Bless your money, your wallet, and your debt. Whatever you bless, you align with divine increase. To bless is not merely to say kind words. It is to recognize the presence of spirit in a thing. It is to lift it into the light of truth and see it through the eyes of abundance, not fear. Blessing is a spiritual act of multiplication. It magnifies that which is touched by it. Most people curse the very things they wish would prosper. They open their wallets with a sigh. They speak of money with resentment. They speak of debt as if it were a punishment. But nothing thrives under a curse. Nothing expands under complaint. When you criticize your money, you reduce it. When you speak lack over your finances, you limit their flow. But when you bless your money, even the little that you have, it begins to multiply. It may not multiply instantly in numbers, but it begins to shift in energy. That shift prepares the way for increase. It opens channels. It attracts new avenues of supply. Money responds not to frustration, but to appreciation. What you bless becomes a servant of your good. Take your wallet in your hands. Do not call it empty. Do not call it worn. Bless it. Say, you are the gateway to my ever-expanding prosperity. You are full of divine substance. You are a symbol of my unlimited source. Speak to your wallet as if it were sacred, because it is. It is the container through which your current flow is held. The way you treat it reveals your inner relationship with supply. Bless the money in your possession, even if it is a single coin. Hold it and say, you are divine substance. You represent the infinite supply of the universe. I send you forth with love, and you return to me multiplied under grace in perfect ways. These words are not superstition, they are spiritual vibration. They turn a material object into a magnet for more. And yes, bless your debts. Most recoil at this thought. They see debt as a chain, a burden, something to fear. But fear magnifies what you fear. If you curse your debt, you bind yourself to it. But when you bless your debt, you release it into divine order. Say, I bless this debt. It was a channel through which something I needed came to me. I bless the company, the lender, the agreement. Divine substance now erases this with ease. Blessing your debt is not ignoring it. It is transforming your relationship with it. It is saying, this no longer holds power over me. I am not its servant. It is part of my learning, part of my journey, and now I rise above it with peace. When you bless something, you neutralize the fear around it. You take back your power. You no longer resist. It is in that release that the flow can return. Bless your bank account. Do not wait until it grows to speak well of it. Speak well of it now. Say, you are filled with divine increase. You expand daily. You are a reflection of infinite abundance, and I am always supported. Bless the bills you pay. They are proof that you are trusted, that you are participating in the great circulation of energy. As you pay, say, I am grateful to return this energy, and I know it returns to me multiplied. What you bless becomes blessed. What you speak to with love begins to respond. Energy cannot help but move under direction, and blessing is the highest direction you can give. When you make blessing your habit, your spiritual posture, everything begins to rise. You rise above fear, above doubt, above shame. Your money rises with you. Your conditions begin to reflect your declarations. You enter into partnership with the divine flow of increase, and everything touched by your blessing must expand. There is no lack in the divine plan, only human resistance, written in the spiritually charged, truth-declaring style of Florence Scovel Shinn. It includes structured paragraphs and ends intentionally without a concluding sentence. There is no lack in the divine plan, only human resistance. The universe was not created in fragments or short supply. The same intelligence that filled the sky with stars, adorned the earth with flowers, and shaped every grain of sand did not suddenly forget to provide for you. The divine plan is whole, complete, and abundant in every direction. It lacks nothing, delays nothing, withholds nothing. Every soul is born with a supply prepared and a path ordained. There is no scarcity in spirit, only abundance waiting to be claimed. The treasures of life, opportunity, love, peace, wealth, are not stored away in some unreachable vault. They are all around you, flowing, circling, seeking entrance. The only barrier between you and your good is the invisible wall of resistance built by your own thought. The resistance is subtle. It hides in speech. Nothing ever works for me. It hides in beliefs. There's never enough to go around. It hides in expectations, anticipating delay, disappointment, or struggle. And yet each of these thoughts is like a locked door, keeping divine supply at bay. Spirit has already delivered the package. It waits at the door. But human resistance says, I'm not ready, or I don't deserve this, or it can't be this easy. The divine plan operates on faith, not fear. It flows through openness, not tension. The moment you release your grip on how it should happen, when it should happen, and through whom, it begins to manifest. Not because it suddenly came into being, but because the resistance that blocked it was removed. You do not need to build your good. It is already built. Your role is not to chase it, but to align with it. Divine supply moves like light, instantly and everywhere at once. But if the window is closed, the room remains dark. The window is your belief, your expectation, your willingness to receive. The opening must happen within before the light can flood in from without. There is no shortage of money in the divine plan, no lack of love, no limitation on opportunity. All things already exist in spiritual substance, and they move toward you the moment you stop pushing them away with fear. The plan for your life includes ease, joy, freedom, and provision in every form. But you must agree with it. You must stop arguing for your limitations. Resistance often wears the disguise of logic. It says, be realistic, don't expect too much. But the divine is not bound by logic. It does not operate within the narrow frame of what has been. It works through possibility, through the miraculous, through the unseen pathways that only faith can access. What logic calls impossible, spirit calls immediate. To dissolve resistance, you must return to truth. Declare, there is no lack in my life. I am divinely provided for, and all that is mine flows to me now. Say it not to convince the universe, but to remind yourself. The divine needs no convincing. It is always saying yes. It is your belief that sets the timing, the shape, the ease. The moment you surrender the belief in struggle, the plan begins to unfold in full power. You were never meant to suffer for your supply. You were meant to receive it with joy. Every moment you spend in resistance delays the joy that is already prepared for you. The divine plan waits patiently, undisturbed by your delays, untouched by your doubt, holding every blessing in place until you are ready to claim it. The gate is never locked from above. It is only closed from within by the one who forgets they already have the key. Use words as spiritual tools to rewire your prosperity reality in the declarative, spiritually attuned voice inspired by Florence Scovel Shinn. It is structured in flowing paragraphs and ends without a concluding sentence, as requested. Use words as spiritual tools to rewire your prosperity reality. Your words are not merely sounds. They are living currents, charged with creative power. Every word you speak is a tool, a seed, a vibration that molds the invisible into form. To speak is to shape. To declare is to direct. And when you speak with spiritual authority, you call forth realities not yet seen by the physical eye. Most speak words idly, not knowing they are constructing their world one sentence at a time. They say, I can't afford it, or money always slips through my fingers, and then wonder why lack continues to show up. But these words are not harmless. They are commands sent out into the ethers, shaping the very reality they dread. You do not describe your life with words. You create it. The subconscious mind does not judge your statements. It simply receives them as instruction. If you say, I'm always struggling, it believes you and sets out to make that true. If you say, prosperity flows to me effortlessly, and speak it with conviction, it believes that too and begins to reorganize your reality to match. Your words are spiritual tools. What you build with them depends on your awareness. To rewire your prosperity reality, you must first become aware of what you're saying. Notice the silent phrases that run through your mind. Observe the casual complaints and fearful declarations. These inner monologues are not passive. They are blueprints. The universe builds according to the plans you lay out with your tongue. If the structure is not to your liking, the plans must change. Start by replacing words of lack with words of life. Instead of saying, I don't have enough, say, I am richly supplied from the infinite source. Instead of saying, I hope it works out, say, everything is working in divine order for my highest good. These affirmations are not wishful thinking. They are spiritual rewiring. They are the chisels that carve a new reality into form. Speak prosperity over your money. Speak increase over your work. Speak favor over your interactions. Your words are energetic commands that go before you and prepare the way. They do not return void. They return fulfilled. If you speak with belief, the results will reflect it. The more often you use words of abundance, the more natural they become, and the more the world begins to mirror your new script. Words spoken in faith hold power beyond reason. You do not need to understand how your words will manifest, only that they are vehicles for unseen forces. When you say, "I am open to receive," you are not speaking to air, you are issuing a directive to divine substance. When you declare, "My prosperity is assured," the conditions may not yet reflect it, but the groundwork is already being laid in the unseen. Your outer world is the result of past declarations. If you want something new, you must begin to speak something new. Every declaration is a turning point. Every word spoken with clarity and conviction becomes a tool of transformation. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the craftsman of reality. Your words are your tools, and your beliefs are the hands that wield them. Do not be afraid to speak boldly. The universe is not offended by confidence, it responds to it. Speak of money, opportunity, and overflow as if they are already yours, because spiritually they are. Your job is not to convince the world, but to command your own consciousness. You are not begging for supply, you are aligning with it through spiritual language. The more you speak as one who already possesses, the faster you collapse the distance between the unseen and the seen. Use words daily, consistently, deliberately. Let them be your instruments of wealth, your builders of prosperity, your key to the treasure house of spirit. Rewire your inner world, and your outer world must follow. Right words spoken in right rhythm move invisible forces in the spiritually precise, vibrationally charged style of Florence Scovel Shinn. It includes carefully crafted paragraphs and ends without a concluding sentence, as you requested. Right words spoken in right rhythm move invisible forces. Words are not idle. They are not merely for communication. They are instruments of creation. Every syllable carries energy. Every phrase sends a signal into the unseen. When the right words are spoken with spiritual authority and in the divine rhythm of certainty and calm, they become keys that unlock doors, levers that move unseen machinery, arrows that strike the target of manifestation with precision. The universe responds to vibration, not volume. It hears the tone of your inner belief, not just the sound of your outer voice. You may say, "I am wealthy," but if your tone is coated in doubt or fear, the signal is garbled. But speak it in the rhythm of faith, from the still center of knowing, and that word becomes law. It moves silently through the ether, rearranging circumstances, aligning events, shifting the invisible into the visible. There is a sacred rhythm to true speech, a cadence that matches the divine order of the cosmos. It is calm, clear, and resolute. It does not beg. It does not rush. It does not waver. It declares. It affirms. It commands from a place of inner authority. The right words, when spoken in this spiritual rhythm, do not merely influence. They direct. They summon. They construct. In ancient wisdom and metaphysical law, it is known, the spoken word is a form of decree. It is a tool for shaping spiritual substance. When you speak rightly, choosing words aligned with truth, abundance, peace, and power, you set divine energy in motion. These forces do not need to be seen to be real. They move beneath the surface, behind the scenes, orchestrating outcomes that defy logic and timing. Many speak without power because they speak without alignment. They scatter words like dust with no conviction or rhythm. They say one thing in the morning and contradict it in the afternoon. They pray with their lips, but fear with their hearts. So the forces remain still, confused by the double message. But when one speaks with unwavering rhythm, steady, clear, intentional, the invisible moves swiftly to respond. Rhythm is not just in sound, it is in belief. It is the internal pulse behind the words. It is the flow of faith running through the language. When the inner tone is steady, the outer speech becomes magnetic. Repetition of truth, spoken with rhythm and reverence, engraves it into the subconscious. From there, it radiates outward, silently attracting, silently creating, silently guiding the unseen forces into motion. You can feel it when the rhythm is right. The words don't feel forced, they rise naturally from within. I am divinely provided for. Everything I need flows to me with ease. My path is guided, and all things unfold in divine timing. These are not just affirmations. They are declarations written in the language of spirit. When spoken with rhythm, they create harmony in the inner world, which must be reflected in the outer. Even one word, rightly spoken, can shift the atmosphere. A single yes spoken to an inspired idea can release a chain of events that lead to breakthrough. A single "I release all fear" can dissolve years of inner bondage. A single "thank you" said from the depths of sincere gratitude can attract a flood of new good. But it must be said in the right rhythm, without strain, without resistance, without doubt. Let your speech become a spiritual practice. Let each phrase be chosen with care and delivered with faith. Don't rush, don't ramble. Speak as if you are speaking to the very substance of the universe, because you are. It hears your tone, it registers your rhythm, it responds to the certainty in your vibration, and when the rhythm aligns with truth, the forces begin to move. Paths open, delays dissolve. What seemed impossible becomes inevitable, all because the right words were spoken in the right rhythm. Speak as if the thing already exists. It will form. In the timeless metaphysical style inspired by Florence Scovel-Shinn, the tone is bold, spiritual, and rooted in divine law, with flowing paragraphs and no concluding sentence, per your request. Speak as if the thing already exists. It will form. Your words are not mere sounds cast into empty space. They are formative agents, shaping energy into matter, vision into substance. The invisible is not far away. It is just unspoken, unclaimed, unrealized. The moment you speak of a thing as if it already is, you give it form in the realm where all creation begins. When you speak from lack, you reinforce the absence. You say, I need, and so you need. You say, it's not here yet, and so it remains unseen. But when you say, I have, even before your physical eyes confirm it, you align with divine substance. You match the frequency of the thing desired. And in that vibrational match, manifestation becomes law. What you speak of in present tense faith begins to take shape under grace. Faith speaks the language of completion. It does not say, someday, somehow. It says, it is here, it is done, it is mine now. These are not delusions. These are decrees. To the worldly mind, it may appear foolish, even arrogant, but to the spiritual mind, it is truth in action. Spirit recognizes what is claimed, not what is doubted. The spoken word, when aligned with the vibration of belief, pulls the unseen into visibility. Imagine standing in a room with a blueprint in your hand. No one else sees the house. They say, it's not real, there is no structure. But you say, it is already built in mind. It exists in divine substance. It is coming into form now. When you hold to that vision and speak it as done, you call the builders, you summon the resources, you awaken the pathways that bring the invisible plan into physical reality. To say, I am wealthy, even when your bank balance says otherwise, is not a lie. It is a spiritual law being activated. You are not describing the temporary, you are declaring the eternal. The divine blueprint for your life includes supply, freedom, and overflow. But it cannot drop into your hands while you speak against it. Words are like scaffolding. They create the structure for the blessing to land. Speak as if your business is thriving. Speak as if the clients have already found you. Speak as if the check is already in the mail, the door already opened, the way already made. Speak in detail, speak with feeling, Speak with certainty. Say, I give thanks that my perfect right opportunity is here. I welcome the wealth that already belongs to me. I see it, I feel it, I walk in it. Every time you declare a thing as already done, you etch it deeper into the subconscious mind. The subconscious, in turn, transmits this image to the universe, which moves to fulfill it. You need not know how. The how belongs to spirit. Your only task is to speak with the tone of the finished thing. Speak health over your body. Speak love over your relationships. Speak ease over your finances. What is declared consistently and believed will take form. Do not wait for physical evidence to speak spiritual truth. The world reflects your inner dialogue, not the other way around. Say it now, before you see it. Praise it now, before it arrives. Give thanks as if the answer has already come, because it has, in the invisible. And every word you speak in alignment with it draws it closer, shapes it clearer, and grounds it into your experience. Speak with the confidence of one who knows the seed is planted. Speak with the tone of one who knows the harvest is certain. Speak as if the money, the healing, the opportunity is already present in your life, and it will respond. Your words are not waiting for permission, they are waiting for precision. Once you speak as if the thing is already yours, the universe rushes to obey. The power has never been outside you. The tools were always in your hands, your words, your belief, your divine alignment. You are not here to chase abundance, but to recognize it, speak it, and allow it. The frequency of money, of supply, of limitless good is not earned, it is tuned into. Every declaration you make is a doorway. Every spoken truth is a signal to the unseen forces that obey spiritual law without delay. Begin now to speak as the one who has, not the one who hopes. Command your world with words of clarity and conviction. Bless what you have, and it will multiply. Release resistance, and it will flow. Align your voice with the divine rhythm, and the invisible will form around your faith. You are the vessel through which abundance takes shape. Let your words build what fear once delayed. Speak the new, and so it must be.